Welcome, everyone. This is the GLREA Clean Energy Seminar for Thursday, July 8th, 2021. Tonight, we are going to hear about how to increase real estate value with a Pearl certification, energy efficiency, and solar energy certification. It'll be presented tonight by Vredevoogd, who is a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices in Grand Rapids, a NAR Green Designee, and also a Pearl. He'll tell you more about his Pearl background and what he does with Pearl. My name is Mark Clevey. I'm the Vice President of the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association and the host for Clean Energy Seminars. Our financial sponsors for this and all of our seminars are the Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, or EGLE, and McNaughton & McKay, a large solar supply company in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We are celebrating our 30-year anniversary this year, Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We were formed in 1991 and supported by membership dues to educate and advocate for renewable energy in the Great Lakes. We're also supported with grants and sponsorships, for example, EGLE. Our GLREA Zoom programs are actually 4 programs each month. We do them every Thursday. The first Thursday of the month is Ann Arbor Solar Stories, hosted by Julie Roth, manager of Solarize Ann Arbor, looking at case studies of solar in Ann Arbor. Our second Thursday of the month is the Clean Energy Seminars, hosted by myself. The third Thursday of each month, we have Detroit Solar Stories, which is similar to Ann Arbor in that we are targeting and doing case studies of solar installations in the Detroit area. And that is hosted by Diane Van Buren, member of the GLREA Board of Directors and president of Zachary and Associates. And the fourth Thursday of each month are My Solar Stories, which is case studies across Michigan and energy questions and answers hosted by John Sarver, our glorious GLREA secretary. John also is helping out tonight. He's recording this session. And this will be available on our YouTube channel. Our clean energy seminars cover a series of topics of particular interest to clean energy users, businesses, advocates, and stakeholders. Seminars include content ranging from technology to business to public policy. The first session of each year is a status update on clean energy in Michigan from the perspective of industry, electric utilities, and state government. That sort of sets the tone for all the sessions that come after it for each year. Our Clean Energy Seminars are a Zoom event. Again, they're held the second Tuesday of each month from 7 to 8 p.m. And any related questions, comments, or suggestions you can direct to me, Mark Clevey, mclevey123@gmail.com. We ask that you remember to please mute yourself and hold all your questions until the end of the presentation. You can raise your hand under reactions to ask a question, and I will call on you. You can ask your question and Brett will answer it. There's a number of ways that you can continue to collaborate and work with us. One is that you can renew your GLREA membership if you're not a member already. You can financially sponsor a GLREA membership for a local teacher or students. You can help us grow our membership by encouraging others to join GLREA and become a whole part of the whole solution. And lastly, you can make a financial donation to GLREA to support our work. You can contact John Freeman, our executive director, to do that. Tonight, it's my sincere pleasure to welcome Brett Vredevoogd, Realtor, Berkshire Hathaway. Tonight, Brett will discuss how Pearl certified energy efficient and solar homes perform in the real estate market. In full disclosure, my home in Ann Arbor has received a joint energy efficiency and solar Pearl certification. My energy efficiency contractor was Ecotelligence Homes in Farmington Hills, and my solar contractor was Homeland Solar in Ann Arbor. Indeed, my energy bills are so low now that my account with DTE regularly gets flagged for potential energy theft. They can't fathom a house using such a little amount of energy and not actually stealing it from DTE. This has now happened 3 times since my solar system went in. The Ann Arbor Realtor Association has received training in Pearl certification and specifically how best to factor energy efficiency and renewable energy into their evaluations, and also their listings. Increasingly, communities are also seeing Pearl certification as a way to reverse the declining value of an aging real estate, especially in landlocked communities. And so with that, Brett, we welcome you to GLREA's Clean Energy Seminar, and we look forward to your presentation.
Excellent.
I'll turn this over to Brett.
Thank you so much, Mark. Everybody can hear me? All right. So yeah, thank you very much for this invite. It's not very often that I get to talk about energy efficiency at length without losing people. So this will be nice. I tend to go fast because that's usually my time frame of attention span of my audience, but I will try to slow down, and we'll have time for questions afterwards too. And if something comes up and you have a question in the middle, I don't care if you interrupt me, because it's not that well structured of a presentation. It's my first time giving a presentation like this. So, so I'm going to give you an intro on myself, kind of how I became a green realtor. We're going to look at Pearl certification, what it is, and then look at some specifics of how we're using it in today's market, which is just wild right now. So I am going to share my screen, and I think we're ready to go. All right, so once again, Brett Vredevoogd, realtor with Berkshire Hathaway in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I am a green designee with NAR, and I also am a Pearl certified realtor and a Pearl partner. And this is how I became green in real estate. I was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I grew up around real estate. So my mother was a realtor for, well, she wouldn't want me to tell you how long she's been a realtor, but she was not only involved heavily with Grand Rapids Association of Realtors and Michigan Association of Realtors, but also with the National Association of Realtors. And so growing up, I spent my family vacations going to NAR conventions. And during the day, walking around with my family, and at night, we would go and schmooze with realtors. And if you told me that I was going to be a realtor 20 years ago, I would have about fainted, because there was no way I wanted anything to do with realtors. But one thing led to another, and I started off my career in the residential home industry in 2000, living in Grand Rapids. I learned how to frame houses, and I really liked that. I loved building and the satisfaction of framing and seeing walls go up and seeing the structure of the house. And I did this all through college. I went to Hope College. I majored in communications, but that wasn't good enough for me. Communications, I thought it was really a boring major. And so I retrofitted my major into nonprofit organizational communications. And I did that I had a passion for working with local nonprofit organizations in the Holland area, like the Lake Michigan Federation and the Macatawa Watershed Organization and things like that. And I was able to intern and kind of retrofit my communications major to more reflect my mindset. And you'll kind of see how that's a trend in my life. So when I graduated in 2003, I moved to Bozeman, Montana. I moved there because I basically wanted a break. I know that sounds ridiculous after being in college for 4 years, but wanted to be a ski bum and be a construction worker for a few years while I kind of figured things out. And lo and behold, Bozeman was booming with business. And we were able to find as many jobs as we wanted in construction. If you had a tool belt and could show up on time, you were hired. And after a couple years of working construction in Bozeman, I stumbled upon sustainable building, which was a new thing to me. I hadn't really heard of it before. I mean, I knew of some different sustainable ways of building, but I didn't realize that there were actual companies out there that were specifically doing that. And so, and in Bozeman specifically, lots of money there, lots of people building second and third houses and willing to not cut corners on cost to do things the right way. So it was really cool. I got to work with IFC foundations, Duracell block foundations. We were doing staggered stud framing. All the houses that we built were Energy Star rated. That was the thing at the time to get. Had radiant floors, solar PV systems, were passive solar designed, lots of reclaimed lumber. And then I also spent a few years installing solar. So there's me atop a house in Bozeman installing a solar PV system, and went through maybe half a year of trying to sell solar as well, which was amazingly hard, seeing what a progressive place we live. It's a tough industry. It's a tough thing to get people to understand the value and the payback period and all that kind of stuff. So that's how I cut my teeth in the sustainable residential area. And then, so after about, I think I was there for 8 or 9 years of building in sub-zero temperatures with the wind blowing in my face and me constantly spilling my coffee on the job site, I decided maybe it's not such a bad thing to be a realtor and sell these houses instead of build them. And so in 2013, I moved my family back to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I was born and raised. And here I am now, 8 years into being a residential realtor. I live with my wife and my 3 girls and my dog. And so that is how I got to where I am today. I actually missed a slide. I'm gonna have to go back. Let's see. Becoming a green realtor, I realized that, like how I turned my construction love into something that I was interested in, I also could do that with, and I did that with my communications degree. I also could do that with real estate, because I was in a unique position where I'm with a buyer at the point when they buy a house. And so I can try to influence them to try to do energy retrofits at the point when they first purchase the house, to hopefully over the 5 to 7 average years that they're going to own this house, they're going to save money, they're going to save energy and do good for the planet. And then when it comes time to sell, they're going to have a certified house that's energy efficient that we can market that way. And so maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I launched greenhomesgr.com. And it still is up and running. It kind of originated as a place where you could go and you could research houses in the Grand Rapids area that had energy certifications or that had alternative energy sources like geothermal or solar. And what I found by launching the site was that there's an extreme lack of data on the MLS and recording of these green features on the MLS. And it kind of blew me away, because I'd see, in pictures, as I'm flipping through pictures of these new listings, I'll see a solar PV system and it doesn't mention it at all in the MLS listing. And it just boggles my mind that people wouldn't put that on the MLS. And so I started wondering, do people even care about this? Like, is this a thing, a niche that I should even be going down? As I think all of us like-minded people have probably thought. And so what I did is I joined Brett Little at the Green Home Institute, and we formed a Green Home Valuation Committee, where we started to dissect the green MLS, because we do have the ability to put green features on our listings in Michigan. And so we took a look at it and why aren't people using this? And we found that it's just super confusing. There's so many different certifications. There's so many things that just that a normal person wouldn't understand, that it's not worth it for realtors to do anything. And so we needed to find something that was understood by the average buyer. And that is when I discovered Pearl certification. So am I still screen sharing or am I not? Mark? Yeah, I am. Okay.
You are now. You weren't for a while, but you are now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Hopefully I didn't do anything embarrassing. I thought I was.
No, well, we could hear you. Just didn't have your screen share.
Okay. So yeah, I found Pearl certification, and actually,
this was open that up, Brett.
Oh yeah.
Make that bigger.
Well, here I'll just talk for a second. Yeah, I was actually given a presentation on realtors knowing what to put onto the MLS. We were doing this at Founders Brewing Company, and Pearl certification happened to be in the back room. And they pulled me aside and they're like, the things that you were talking about, you should probably look at our product, because we have a product that's geared towards residential real estate. And so I took a look at their website and was just blown away. As exactly what I'd been looking for. A product that's geared towards, it's basically like a dumbed down report that the buyer can understand, that the seller can understand, and that an appraiser can understand, and a lender can understand, and all the things in real estate that we need to have communicate with each other. It's built for that and to give value to kind of the hidden aspects of a house. So I'm going to start sharing again, and there we go.
There we go.
So what is a Pearl certification? It's sort of like a home energy score or a HERS rating. You send out a third-party Pearl certified contractor to a house, and he or she is going to take down all the assets of the house, and categorize the Energy Star rated appliances, the efficiency of the mechanicals, the efficiency of the windows, how much insulation it is in it, conditioned space, added insulation in the attic, all these things that a buyer, when they walk through a house, are not going to be looking at. I mean, we have started in this crazy market. I used to say no buyer's ever going to look in the attic when they're looking at a house, but with waiving inspections and all that stuff that's happening right now, I've started looking in the attic. But the normal buyer who's got 15 and 20 minutes walking through a house isn't going to be looking at this stuff. And it takes all that information and it puts it into a system, and it gives it a number, and it gives it a certification, a silver, a gold, or a platinum. And it prints out this beautiful little package that you can keep at the house that's going to have all the assets in it. And I've got an example of that. Let me see. So this is this is an example of a certification that I did on a listing of mine just a couple months ago. We got Pearl Gold. It's got an opening page, kind of shows the picture, gives it a bunch of numbers for the building shell, the heating and cooling system, the base load, and then home management. And then kind of walks you through, the attic insulation is the top 38% of Michigan homes. Rib joist well insulated, air sealing, we do a blower door test so you can see air exchanges per hour. It basically catalogs all the efficient parts of the house and puts it in this nice little package. And it also prints out these cards that we can use around the house. So you could put by the furnace, this is top 1% of gas heated homes. You put it right on the furnace, and it kind of acts as like staging for a house, where you can detract people's eyes away from some of the things by seeing hey, look at the efficiency of this house. And so I really enjoy the Pearl package, because it's easy to understand for the buyer as they walk through. Let me get back to here. So yeah, it's a market differentiator. You could have two properties that are right next to each other. One of them is advertised as energy efficient, and the other one is not. And when the buyer goes back to think about the two houses, they're going to say, "Oh, wasn't that the one that was energy efficient?" So it's just an added thing that you can do. There's an NAR statistic out there that shows that an energy efficient home sells for 2 to 5% more than its competition. That would be like an energy certified house. And that was a study that was done in California, and most areas adhere to that number. And if there's enough data, and the problem is that in Michigan, we don't have enough data, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So yeah, it's a market differentiator. By the way, they do take in, if you have solar PV, they'll categorize all of that information on this report, and give them, the information that they need to know about how much energy they're going to save and whatnot. It's a listing strategy for me. It's a tool in my belt as a listing agent, where I can go and say, hey, I'm going to get your house certified before I list it. And that usually blows people away, because nobody else is doing that right now. And it enhances the house. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. It's going to hopefully make the house sell faster than its competition and for more. So there's two types of certifications. There's the whole house certification, which is the silver, gold, and platinum. And then there's the certified solar. So they can go in, if you just have a solar system on your house, they can go in and certify that and have all the information together for it. And they'll be able to, it goes on a nationwide database. And so you'll be able to pull that back up and see it anytime, and appraisers are going to be able to see it. So this arms us with the tools that we need. And like I said, it comes with those cards. You'll see a display there on the furnace that's saying that furnace is more efficient than X amount of the homes in the area. Gives you social media posts. And then enhanced online presence. You'll see like the third slide in there is the picture of a high performing home. There's the silver certification. So I usually put those in my listing photos, because it differentiates it from the rest of the listings. If you're flipping through pictures, you come across that, you're like, oh wow, this house is a high performing home. It's amazing how people kind of grasp onto that and ask about it at an open house or something like that. Like, oh, I saw something about that this was high performing. So maybe people do care. And the last thing that it provides, and I think the most important, is this appraisal assistance. So every Pearl certification comes with a green appraisal addendum, which was an addendum written and approved by the National Appraisal Institute a few years back, that categorizes all of the assets of the home and is mandated that an appraiser uses that towards the value of the house. So love the appraisal addendum, and I will come back to that in just a little bit. But the other thing that it comes with is Green Door, which when you have a Pearl certification, you get a client portal, and you can go into that anytime and see what you would need to do to improve your score. If you wanted to go from a gold to a platinum, there's that section right here that says improve my score. Click on that and it'll give you suggestions to boost and get more points to be able to boost up to a platinum from a gold or a gold from a silver. And the cool thing is if you do that work, like say you need to add 10 inches of insulation in your attic to meet that, or install new energy efficient windows to reach that next goal, you can upload the invoice for you doing that work and they will upgrade your score and your certification, and it's on a national database. And so you will all of a sudden go from a silver to a gold or a gold to a platinum with the things that you do, and it sticks with your house for the life of your house. So really cool. It also has this new maintenance tracker that they just added that'll tell you when you need to change your filters and do maintenance to your house. So it's a convenient feature to have that Pearl also provides. So I think you can go to pearlcertification.com and get more information about that. But a little bit about how I've been using this. So we're in a crazy seller's market right now where you basically could put a house on the market that doesn't have windows and it'll sell for asking price or above asking because people need houses. And so I don't find that I'm using it right now the way that they've designed it, which was to help your house sell fast. It's going to sell fast. It doesn't matter what condition your house is. I mean, it is starting to slow down a little bit, but we were having instances this spring where I was up against 40 or 50 other offers on a house after a weekend of showings, and houses are selling for $50,000 to $100,000 over asking. And the asking price or the list price was based on market evidence of market value. And so how I'm using it today is by using the green appraisal addendum that comes pre-filled out by Pearl to give to the appraiser to help boost the appraisal value. Because that's the big fear right now is when you get financing on your house, the bank's going to need to get an appraisal for that price. And if you look at the comps, it was priced correctly, but we just happened to have 40 offers on it, and people bid each other up until it got to 50,000 over, and it got out of control. And so I used it twice this spring where I was representing a buyer, and I knew that this house was energy efficient. It wasn't being advertised as energy efficient. And so I'd have my Pearl contractor come in there, do a Pearl certification, and then we'd get that appraiser, the green appraisal addendum, and we'd meet our price that we offered. And therefore we didn't have to use any type of appraisal gap guarantee or anything like that a lot of offers have right now to try to beat out the competition. So it's been working really well for that. It also, everybody is refinancing right now. And it's also a great tool for that. If you're refinancing and you want someone to give value to your solar PV system, this is the ticket, because this is one of the only things that an appraiser is going to look at and might understand to give value to solar. And Brett Little, actually, I don't know if you know him, but he just did this and has a great article. I'll try to share that link a little bit later about how he got a 3% increase on his market value of his net zero house by using Pearl certification and the home energy score and things like that. So some cool things. I mean, the biggest pushback that we get, and I got it with both those instances that I was talking about earlier, where we, were $50,000 over asking, got an appraiser, the green appraisal addendum, and they got back to us and we're like, well, show us some proof that there's a premium for this, because we're just in Michigan, we don't have enough data on the MLS to kind of prove that NAR statistic that's out of California, where California is way more progressive and there's way more solar there, and there's way, you know, so that's something that I'm really working on. I do have one more presentation here, if I can find it. Share screen. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Sorry. It's one we're just on. Sorry, you can tell I'm not very good at this yet. Here we go. Okay. So using energy efficient to gain market value. I'm really trying to do my part and I think that the easiest thing that I can do is educate realtors on how to put data on the MLS. Even just opening up their eyes that there's a category to put in that this house has solar or geothermal, or that this house has low E windows, or you know, added insulation, Energy Star rated, any data that they can put on the MLS, I'm happy with. I don't care if it's Pearl or if it's Home Energy Score or HERS rating. And then also educating appraisers, getting them to understand that we do have local evidence of the market value going up with energy efficiency. Certifying as many homes as I can. So I made a pledge in 2020 at the beginning of the year that I was going to Pearl certify every listing of mine that I could that year, that I knew that would be certified. I had a few listings that just weren't gonna cut it. And I did that. And because I did that, I came across a really cool thing. I listed 2 houses in my old neighborhood in Rockford. Both of them had Pearl certifications. There was maybe 10 other houses that sold in that same neighborhood, same age, same square footage, same lot size. And my 2 listings sold for an average of 6% more than those. And so I am working right now with Sandra Adamadas, who is actually, she's the one who wrote the Green Appraisal Addendum. And she's an appraiser out of Florida. And Pamela Brookstein out of Elevate Energy in Chicago, who they have a grant to write some appraiser-led studies for the Grand Rapids and Michigan area. And they are right now writing it up. So pretty soon at the end of the summer, I'm gonna have a legit piece of paper to hand an appraiser and say, look, there is a premium in Michigan. And here's the proof that you need. And so you need to give my Pearl certified house a boost over the competition. And I think that that's the only way. I think John and I talked about this at one point. It's really the only way that we're going to get people to want to do energy retrofits at the beginning of owning a house, over putting granite in, or you know, doing a complete remodel. Is showing them that these are things that you're going to get back in the end. These are going to increase the value of your home just as much as a cosmetic thing is going to. And you're going to be more comfortable, more healthy in your house, things like that. So that's what I'm really trying to lean towards. And then Pearl is doing a ton as well. They have rolled out a discount for anybody who's a green designee. Can do a solar certification on a house for, I think it's $68 or something like that, as opposed to $100. And so if you have solar and you want it Pearl certified, you can go to their website and you can search your area and find a Pearl certified realtor that will come out and collect the 5 points of data that they need to be able to do a Pearl certification on your solar system. And so that's really cool. hopefully we're going to get a lot more data that way. They're also rolling out next week a solar equity calculator that you're going to be able to put your own data in and be able to show what the value of your system is. Because honestly, that's one of the biggest questions that we get. I'm on this Facebook group called Appraisers Helping West Michigan Real Estate Agents, and I see it all the time. They're like, I have a house that's got a 10 kilowatt system on it. What's the value of that? And their an appraiser's answer is always, well, there may be no value to that unless you can prove to me that there's a premium that somebody's paid for a house with the same size system. And I think that this is really going to change things. Getting some national database of what these systems are worth, and Brett really had a great experience with that after he had to go through 3 different appraisers to give value to his solar. But what the guy ended up doing is finding when the payback period was. And then from that point on until the manufacturer's warranty was up, finding what the savings were, and then using that to give value to that system. And so it was an interesting way of doing it, but he got it done. The other thing that Pearl is doing is they're working with Freddie and Fannie to have them understand green values, and really lobbying the government to try to mandate some type of energy certification at the point of sale, just so that we can categorize this stuff and really try to harness it. So that is basically my entire presentation. So what questions do you have?
Brett, I want to thank you very much for that really great talk. Pearl's got improved a lot just since I did it a couple of years ago. So it's really, really nice to see it. So we can take some questions. I wonder if you could talk just a minute about anything you're doing with Michigan Saves, because they do loans for solar on houses. And I know that Pearl certification is one of the things that they take into consideration. Have you done any loans with them, or?
I have not. I've definitely had conversations with Michigan Saves, and I think it's great. I'm trying to with also, like, at the point of sale when I get my buyers. So I get my buyers a Pearl certification too. When they purchase a house, it gives them an investment plan to see the things that they need to do to save money over the years. So, and I'm trying to work with a solar contractor in the area to also get them a quote at the time that they buy a house of, here's a quote for a system for your house. And I think that would be a great thing to partner with Michigan Saves, to have them work with each other and say, hey, then we can get something going right now at the point that you get into this house, so you can really, really take advantage of it. Because I think that holds up a lot of people from putting solar on, is because they're not sure how long they're going to stay in a house. So, and you know, having sold solar in the past, explaining that payback period, you know, and maybe that in conjunction with the Pearl system value calculator, to show them, you know, that this system is going to give value to your house. It's not just there is a tangible value that you can give to it. But yeah, I haven't worked with Michigan Saves very much, and I need to.
Anybody who has a question, just raise your hand, and I'll slot you in here. Otherwise, we're going to keep asking some questions now. Both John Sarver and I were at the Michigan Energy office for a while. We both of us retired from there. And I remember that there was a big push to pass a law to do HERS ratings on real estate in Michigan. Legislation was put in. I know that I testified as part of the energy office on that and stuff. And we were also doing a fairly large Better Buildings program for Michigan at the time. And there was a lot of push and a lot of interest in it. But it was just, it never got off the dime. Unfortunately, it didn't get passed. And I know now of communities, 3 different communities that are looking at some kind of rating. And in every one of those cases, the methodology they're using, as far as I'm concerned, is taxpayer funded greenwashing. So I guess the question I pose to you is that, are we at a point where, or will we be at a point soon with the study you're doing where it might be worth asking the Michigan legislature, or at least that, or the Eagle, to take a serious look at some sort of standard here, that so we could compare, if not Pearl, then something that looks just like Pearl, because right now it's unfortunate. I know within cities, including Ann Arbor, there are 2 or 3 different methodologies being used to describe, what the value of an energy efficient home. And for the most part, they're not based on anything real. And it's actually kind of muddying the waters. So I guess my question is, is Pearl looking at some sort of state-based legislation? Are they doing that in California? Is it something we could look at and ask the question of Michigan? Let's talk apples and apples for a change.
They definitely are. They have put their name in as being the certification that would be mandated. And they've got great data with the stuff that they've been doing in Holland. Has been really pretty awesome. And I think that they're doing it in Ann Arbor too, right?
There's talk in Ann Arbor. They're not moving it anywhere near as far as you have in Grand Rapids, but I would think a legislative effort to come up with some sort of a standard like Pearl that was led from Grand Rapids would have a lot more cachet value in a Republican-led legislature than coming from Democratic Ann Arbor. I think that has California adopted this? Has Pearl been able to get a statewide?
They have not gotten a statewide a mandate anywhere yet, but I think that using studies like the Holland study, we've actually talked about that. I have friends on the Rockford Sustainability Committee, and they're rewriting the Rockford master plan right now. And so we've talked about why don't we present what happened in Holland to Rockford and see if we can, be this pocket community that boosts our market value by being, known as one of the most sustainable or energy efficient suburbs of Grand Rapids. And so we're definitely in talks about that. And I know that, Pearl has just grown huge over this last year and is gaining momentum with their lobbying nationwide. So
John Freeman, you want to say something about, I know you were really happy when Pearl came in and started working closely with GLREA. From your perspective with solar, how do you see this marriage between energy efficiency and solar with some sort of standard around it? What difference would that make, do you think, on a statewide basis if we were able to do something with that?
Well, I don't have anything to add that Brett hasn't already talked about. I just think that energy efficiency and renewable energy and the whole notion of trying to move toward net zero for homes is such a new concept that, like anything else, we're on the cutting edge and most of the realtors and appraisers are not. And so we have to drag them to the dance to make them understand about how the quality of homes are changing, and the market needs to reflect this new additional value. And so that we have a much more honest assessment of what these homes are used and make the market work on behalf of people who, as Brett stated, invest the money into energy efficiency and invest the money in solar rather than doing, a granite counter, which, looks nice, but it doesn't really save all that much money. The other thing I just want to comment is that, which is a little bit of a question for you, Brett, is when Pearl goes into a house to do the analysis, essentially they're conducting, they're like an energy efficiency company that goes in and evaluates everything and tells people what is good and what needs to be improved. Is that essentially correct?
Yeah. And they'll, what I really like about it is the investment plan that comes with it.
Right.
That these are the things that you could use to improve on, gives them a list of things to do. And then the portal to upload the invoices once they do it and increase their score. And so it's a little bit scary sometimes when I have them in a house that I know is not going to be energy efficient. I just helped a buyer buy a house that, is drafty and is going to need a lot of retrofits and probably is not going to get a certification, but I think it's important that they get that information right up front. So
one other follow-up, well, two other follow-up. One's a comment, one's another question. By the way, we do work with Brett Little. We've been putting on a series of net zero energy conferences for both homeowners and for commercial space. And so we partner with Brett quite a bit. My second question is that I know that in other states like California, maybe Arizona and Colorado, the national, Lawrence Berkeley Lab and National Regulatory Energy Lab, they have done analysis about what the impact on a value of a home is by installing solar. I haven't kept on top of it. Have you been following that stuff and seeing if they've updated those studies at all?
I have not. I have not. I've been just basically, anytime a question comes up, I call Pearl and I say, what do I do about this? Right. How do I give some value to this? And I would imagine that they're keeping their finger on the pulse of that, but I haven't seen that.
Well, when you get that paperwork, that study done by Elevate Energy and yourself and the others, let us know about it so we can highlight it to our members and maybe even help get it out there to the public. So
cool.
Yeah, that would be really good. I'd like to have you come back actually next year and talk about that as well. I think that data is really good. Will make some difference. Jasmine, I saw you had your hand up. I don't know if that was a mistake or if you have a question.
That's not a mistake. No, I just wanted to say I'm very familiar with building labels and building rating systems across the world. And some of them are used and actually mandated to be used, and people have to state the rating, show their rating before they can sell or rent, which I think is a really great idea. But on the Pearl system, which I must admit I wasn't familiar with, I was curious as to what the specific parameters that you go through. You mentioned there were 5, I believe, and I didn't catch what all of them were, but also who specifically is evaluating? Are these engineers, architects, realtors? Who's doing the evaluating?
So I use a Pearl certified contractor that's West Michigan Glass Block. And George Clark from West Michigan Glass Block is my assessor. And he's trained by Pearl to fill out the categories that need to be filled out. He's not necessarily, I think he is a building scientist, but you don't necessarily need to be one to be an assessor. You can just be trained by Pearl.
What are the categories or the parameters that you're looking at?
Well, I can share. What would probably be easiest is to share the actual Pearl certification so you can see the parameters. That's part of the reason why I hire somebody else to do it, because they're totally third party. So I don't know the exact answers to that. But I'm
Brett,
happy.
I can add a little bit to that
Okay.
to help Janice. So Janice, they follow the Building Science Institute methodology. So it's the U.S. Department of Energy's stuff that was used. They do a blower door test and a thermal analysis. So they come through and do that. They test all the appliances. They open up the attic and do a visual search as well. But a key part of this is a pre and post blower door test. That is the primary certification for insulation. They do, for my home, they did wall insulation, ceiling insulation, ceiling, wrapping all the pipes, all the things that we would do. And then they do a follow-up on you have to submit your energy bills in advance, and then they do a comparison on the stuff. But I was impressed because it's a degree day comparison. So they're not just comparing, this June against last June. So, and the people that were there, they were certified energy auditors who were running the project for Ecotelligence. So when I got the report, I mean, again, I had to give them 12 months of my energy bills from DTE, So it was, I think it's pretty good. In terms of a residential listing, it's pretty good. Certainly better than the monthly thing I get from DTE that compares me with all my neighbors and tells me that I use more energy than anybody on the planet. So I don't understand how they come up with this, but anyway.
Mark, do they also look at the efficiency of the equipment and the type of equipment? I know they're looking at solar, for example, but do they look at the type of equipment that's being used for HVAC and its efficiency?
They do look at the equipment. They look at the ratings. How, for example, I have a high efficiency furnace. They looked at that, and then they looked at the age of the furnace. So they did not do a test on the furnace. They did the same thing with the air conditioning. They looked at its age and its efficiency rating, and that's what they came up with. Same thing on the water heater. My water heater was wrapped, and the pipes were wrapped and stuff like that. So they factored that into the assessment. Great,
thank you.
Yeah, so I was impressed. I like you. I think other places that are doing this much better than we do in the United States, and certainly better in Michigan. The company that Brett is working with and stuff, they were all part of the Better Buildings program for Michigan that was run with 10 years ago now, and that was the first time when they started establishing energy standards and methodology standards, blower door standards and stuff for energy audits. You couldn't get the funding through the state and Michigan Saves without going through that building sciences, kind of audit, and they were using hers as the basis for that then. But it's, I think it's just like anything else. It could be more exact, but I think they do a pretty good job considering what they're dealing with, and people can understand it because as Brett said, Brett said that the form literally goes down and lists these areas that they looked at. Here's the blower door test pre and post. Here's this. Here's the insulation that was in the house. Here's what they're now, and it goes down that listing.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, Brad, is that answer? Do you want to add anything?
That's great. Yeah. I actually need to get going because I have some kids to put to bed.
All right.
But I wanted to say thank you for having me on here, and anybody can get a hold of me. I'm a realtor, so you can find me on the internet, Brett Vredevoogd, or I think my contact information is in here as well.
Yes.
And yeah, if you have any questions about, the value of your house or system, or want some assistance with that, be happy to help out, or just talk about it. And I encourage everyone to, when it comes time to sell your house, please tell your realtor to that you want your green features cataloged on the MLS, because that's just the biggest thing. The more data that we can get on the MLS, the better. And, you know, it doesn't have to come just from me. Like, other realtors should be using this too. So that's my final plea.
Thank you very much, Brett. Thank you everyone for coming on, signing on. We have several more clean energy seminars going on for the rest of the year. There's going to be a good one in November. They're all good, but one that was very near and dear to my heart with Lawrence Technological University. They're running an incubator over there that is generating and focusing on green business development. They've just raised their own venture capital fund over there, and they're doing some amazing things. So I think as we start to look going forward, starting to think about how we're going to move this industry forward, starting to look at the role of innovation and what's going to be pushing this market is going to be a new thing coming down. So I think that would be a really good session. So again, thank you very much. And with that, we'll close out the session.